Hey everybody, it is Chonkaroo joining you for a nice Thursday night stream. I am currently waiting on Mark to join us. He should be here relatively soon. Hey, Mindstorm, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you so much. Um, Before I forget, I got to move out of the way. I'll show it off like 6 times today. Bellyacre came in. Ah, there we go. Got my giant Bellyacre supporting me. I'm very excited about it. So, yeah, it's gonna be an awesome stream. I am so excited about this stream. So I have a little agenda that I have set up, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to look at both Mark here in a second whenever he joins us, and um, and also go through my agenda. I suppose I can copy and paste that right now, can I? That's probably the best idea. Let's do that. Whoop. There we go. You guys get to see behind the scenes while I've got screens up. Go back, yeah. Then we just wait for Mark to call, and then I'll keep my agenda of a yeah. All right. So get some housekeeping stuff out of the way really quickly before Mark hops on. So again, I really want to thank everyone just for making this stream way more than I could ever possibly imagine. I feel like it's still crazy small, but it's way bigger than I ever thought it would be. I really thought it was going to be like for just an eternally like me and 3 people like hanging out. And the fact that we're regularly getting like 50 plus, last time we had like 87 views. And then the Twitch crowd is hanging out at 20 to 30 people. I am like so stoked. So you guys are the best. I really appreciate you and love all of you. Um, and I've shared a couple tweets today that are really meaningful to me, just about supporting people who support vibes. And so I kind of want to hit home on that one. If you got like, don't go like mortgage your house to buy vibe stuff, but if you can, buy a box from a couple different vendors just to support them. If everyone does a little bit to support them, then more people, it's rising tides, uh, lift all ships, right? So I kind of want to go that route with vibes, and I want to make sure that people are actively making efforts to support people. I suppose I could go like this, so you're not just staring at a Discord stream. I don't know. So I learned today, whenever I was watching my own stuff, that it makes those little clips. Um, I had a neat little mental health moment that so I've started to kind of shape a lot of the things that I read and that I allow into my life around positive things. Like I think it's really easy to be negative and fall into like a really negative mindset. So I've actively like shredded things that are kind of negative. Oh, here we go. We have a nice Marca. A wild Marcus appears. Let's see if this works. Oh,
Hello.
hey, what's up, man? I think we can just pin you here. I'm always super loud, so I'm gonna go there. Can you hear me? Oh,
Again.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm gonna guess that's a no. Oh, it's because my output device is wrong. Nope, no. No, that's correct. That's also
Uh,
correct. Um, Mine looks right. Can you hear me now? No. Can you guys
that
hear
was
me?
start camera. Weird.
Hopefully you guys can hear me. If not, I've been talking this whole time to myself. Okay, perfect. Perfect. If you guys can hear me, then we're good. So my camera failing to start doesn't really surprise me because it's using another thing right here. Um, but oh, it's because I have a push to talk on. There we go. Does that work?
Hey, yeah, I can hear
Ah,
you now.
yeah, I had a push to talk on.
Yeah, I can't see your camera though. You can't see you, I should say. It says fail to start camera.
It's because the stream's using my camera. So
Oh, okay. Cool,
wait, I
cool.
can actually probably switch it to a different camera. I've got two cameras up right now, so that way you're. Let me see if I can switch this. Oh, um, that's right. Camera. Let's see if that'll work.
Yep, that works.
Okay, perfect. And so my stream camera works. Hey, look at that. Being super lazy and not taking down my second camera after I got this new one. It worked. It worked. Uh,
Nice.
so thank you so much for joining us. I was just doing my own little mental health moment right
Mhm.
whenever you called. And today's is about the way that I got to it or the way that I arrived at it is I try to remove negative things from my life in general. I think it's really easy to go down dark paths and look for negative things. And so I was reading this thing that popped up in my feed. So this isn't mine, I'm stealing it. But it says, take nothing personally. People act from their own pain. And I think that that's like super true. Like one of the things I learned in therapy is hurt people, and so I think that that's really true. So if anyone's ever just being like a giant jerk to you, like obviously set your boundaries and don't just let them roll over you, but also remember that they're probably going through some stuff too. So that is my brief mental health moment. And then before you got on, I was so grateful. I could not believe, like, this is the coolest thing in the world to me. I said it on my stream yesterday that I'm not like a big stream watcher just because I always like want to be involved and my ADHD won't allow me to just like hang out, but
Mhm.
this is one that I would absolutely watch. And so let's start off with kind of your background with TCGs, how you got involved in Orange Cap, and kind of how your TCG experience has influenced your TCG design with Orange Cap.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, I guess let me introduce myself to people who don't know already. I don't know if you got the introduction, but I'm Mark. I'm part of the OCG team currently. I'm the digital product manager for the team. I write the comprehensive rule set, and I help with balancing and designing future sets. So most of my work on future sets will be done after like our great design team's already designed most of the set or has the set in place, and then I'll come in and try to help balance, try to basically break individual cards. Um, and it's my job to try to find any like potential cards that we think that, hey, this might be ban worthy, or oh, we definitely can't release this, it's too powerful. So things along those lines. For my TCG background, it started when I was a kid, like probably like most people starting the Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. It was a lot of fun. Unlike a lot of people who just like trading and collecting the Pokemon cards, I actually enjoyed playing the game, even though nobody played the game at the time. So I actually played a lot of the Pokemon TCG Game Boy game. So that was always a lot of fun. Always trying to brew decks in that, and playing Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff. And then I took a step back from TCGs for a while, from like my early childhood until I was reintroduced to it in college. My roommate at the time introduced me to Magic the Gathering. So I got into that around Zendikar era. M10 Zendikar was my first set. Um, and then I fell in love with Magic, and I competed in that while I was in college. I got really lucky. I was able to get sponsored to go travel, play the game. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the people I met. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm sorry, I forgot what other part of the questions there
No, no,
were
no.
for
It
this.
was like a nine-parter. So
Yeah.
so that was your background. And then just to kind of follow up on the background. First of all, my another thing that I said today was support people who support you. So if you want to give a shout out to whoever your sponsor was, I think that's super cool that you actually found somebody to sponsor you. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was my friends at Flipside Gaming in upstate New York. Essentially, I was just like a local grinder. My friends at the time, like Greg Parker, who was one of the owners of Flipside, thought that I had potential in playing the game. So it wasn't like a big endorsement or anything, but he gave me gear to wear. So I wore the Flipside gear wherever I went. They gave me some extra dollars if I ever made an on-camera feature match, and they also helped me. Like I was a poor college kid, I couldn't afford cards, especially if I was playing Legacy or something. So
Yeah.
they were willing to share their collection of cards with me. When all I had to do is make sure give them a list of cards ahead of time, and they'd make sure I get whatever deck I needed for any major tournaments I ended up traveling to.
And I think that's amazing. And I also kind of want that to be a lesson to small stores right now that think there's no ROI eventually, like just like even loaning somebody cards. But even something as
Mhm.
small as like you can stay in my hotel room or you can borrow these cards or you can do something is life changing for a college student. Absolutely. So I
Yeah,
think
I
that
mean,
that's awesome.
yeah, and also there's so many friends when I first started playing Magic I met along the way. I was really like the younger kid in the scene. There's the young college kid and a lot of like older professionals who really let me like into their group. Just for example, like Brian Gottlieb, Dan Jordan, that they were like the older
You know
people in
Dan
the group at the
Jordan?
time. Yeah, oh yeah,
Dan, I
we
love Dan Jordan.
yeah we both lived
Old
together. We both
Russian
lived near each
magic.
other in Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Dan Jordan and I mean, we don't like call each other on the weekends, but if I see him at an event, I'll give him a big hug. I love Dan Jordan.
Yeah,
He's great.
yeah. Travel to a lot of events with Dan. Dan was a much better player than I was at the game, but yeah, he was always a fun person to be around.
Oh man, that takes me back. I could have a whole conversation with you about how much I love Dan Jordan. He's a great guy. I hope he starts playing vibes. So the other follow-up questions to those were, we've got the story of who you are in a nutshell with TCGs. How did you get involved with Orange Cap?
Yeah, so my roommate, Psychbox, in college, was actually contracted to create the digital client for Vibes.
Okay.
And then at the time, they were looking for a digital product manager who had TCG experience, and I was the first person he called and said, "Hey, I think I have a role for you that love to join the team." So I looked at the role. Saw the game. And I saw the potential immediately. It was still just set one, and set one wasn't complete yet. But I saw like like the design of the game and the core concepts of everything, and I thought this had potential to be a really really fun and good game. So I really wanted to be part of the team. So I joined as a contractor, helping build out the digital client, helping balance out some of set one, and then after a year, I became a full-time OCG member.
That's awesome. I I think that one of the drawbacks to Vibes is cute penguins. It's like the plus and the drawback because even I saw cute penguins and I was like, oh, whatever. Like, sure, I'll play in a 5K and try to win a little bit of money. And then whenever you actually start to compete in the high levels of the game, you're like, this game is nuts. Like there are way more layers to it. Magic has more cards, so it's obviously going to have more interactions. But I think that the skill that exists in Vibes that does not exist in Magic is the inability to play instants or things at instant speed all the time. So I can't just save my one hoser card and wait for the perfect time. I need to plan ahead, plan my like know what deck you're playing. And I think that it is such a much more skill intensive deck than or card game than what you see at face value whenever you just see Peace Out Penguin's giant face on the thing. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really interesting too. 'Cause I remember when I first met Spencer, and he started talking about his design philosophies around vibes. He wanted this to be a game that anyone can learn like in 10, 15 minutes, and be able to pick up and play. But also like because Spencer himself is a competitive TCG player, he wanted vibes to be competitive as well. So it was a really like fine line that he was trying to figure out like how to make this simple enough for casual people to be able to pick up the game quickly, but also deep enough that competitive players find enjoyment and that skill level actually matters when they play the game.
I think he knocked it out of the park on that. Like, yeah, I don't think you guys could have possibly done a better job at that. So I'm super excited about that, and I'm really excited about the future. So set three, like the first like 10 cards got spoiled, and I was like, ugh, like yeah, it's okay, all right. Striker Bird's pretty cool. And then after I see the whole list, I'm like, oh, okay, this completely changes the game. It's going to really shake up the meta, which I'm super excited about. Um,
Yes, I am not gonna lie. I am like compared to set one and two, we really didn't want to push the boundaries too far when it comes to power level of cards. We are definitely flirting with the boundary power level of cards for set three, and I would not be surprised if things are too powerful and things can be banned during the
really.
competitive season. Yeah.
That's I don't want to say awesome to hear, but it's really cool that exists because so I loved as we were like if you flash back to beginning of the year, like right before Worlds, and people were still like they're figuring out that red purple was pretty good. We know that there's some Bellyacre list, but it's not like we don't have the perfect iteration of it yet. The format was developing a little bit slower than what it would in a much more played TCG. Um, but now, 6 months later, I feel like everything's pretty solved for the most part. We'll find out here in a little bit if we miss some decks. But I also think that it's starting to get a little stagnant, and I'm so ready for another set. Like I don't think I've played on the ladder this week at all, just because I've had other life priorities. But also I'm like saving up. I'm trying to like knock out everything in life to be able to play as much as I can whenever set three comes out. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it. And the last part of my like giant follow up question was, what is like the biggest influence that your previous career has had on creating vibes?
Biggest influence on so like when I it's coming from being a competitive Magic player myself, whenever I'm looking at card games, I always try to figure out. I love card advantage. Magic, I was always a control player, always trying to draw extra cards. And I also love infinite loops. Whenever I always try to develop those type of things. I know those are very dangerous. So part of like my balancing and design philosophy, like for the least, primarily for the first two sets when I was playing, is hey, we really need to have a lot of guardrails put in place to not have these infinite loops. For an example, in Magic, you might have a creature that has an ability that says, activate ability, sacrifice a creature, do a thing. My guardrail would always be, hey, that should be maybe a once a turn effect, or maybe twice a turn, something along those lines, something to ensure that you can't have an infinite loop.
No, I
So we
completely
re-
agree. Yeah.
so for sets one and two, we were very careful around that. But again, set three, I wouldn't say that we went off the rails, but we decided to loosen the reins a little bit and have a lot more cards that have the abilities for card advantage. Even in set one and two, there are very few cards where you can actually draw two cards. There's no divination
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There. Yeah.
Uh,
As somebody who loves to draw cards, I was reading this. I'm like, are y'all allergic to card draw? Like, give me my cantrips, right?
right, but set three we have there's a lot of I think cards that we hope they're balanced, but they could be dangerous of how many cards players are drawing in a turn.
No, so whenever we were doing the set review last night with Laffy, I I kept saying, I'm like, but look at how many cards you're drawing. Look at this red deck. You got all this looting, and the purple deck, you have all this discard. He's like, but how do you win? And I realized last night that we both, Laffy and I, we approach deck building from two different angles. So I want to do something cool, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to win later. He wants to figure out how he's going to win, and then build a deck around that. Which I think it's good to have that balance
Mhm.
when any sort of deck building. But I do like I'm seeing right now with this. I'm like, there's so many cool things that we get to do with set three, and just some of the like the Rodromancer card. Like I don't know if that's on your potential ban list, but I think that card is nuts. I think I'm so excited to see what that card in play. So I'm not going to put you on
Mhm.
the spot with any of that stuff. So I do want to let's start from the beginning. We'll start from set one. Uh, so set one was not released yet when you started with the team.
Correct. It was still in development, but I would say like 95% of the cards were already finished. When I joined, I was trying to say, hey, here's all the cards. Is there anything that's broken that we need to change ASAP?
Okay, and you told me a cool story about Bashful Swordsman. Do you want to share that one with the stream?
Yeah, so when I first joined, and I said like I'm really trying to target like, hey, where's like the poles of the format? Like, where's the cards that has like really high power levels? And Bashful Swordsman at the time was a 3-cost penguin, so we kept the 3 costs and still had like the 14 vibe. I was like, oh, this is obviously one of the poles of the format. It's such great value, and it had a very not very very different, but it had a much more powerful effect back then than it currently has. Today, Swordsman says if this is unflopped, the penguin that wins the vibe check will get iced at the end of the vibe check. But before the previous iteration of Bashful Swordsman said it didn't need to be unflopped. It could just be in play. It could be flopped, and the penguin that wins the vibe check would get iced.
Yeah.
And that was a card I immediately flagged to the team. Say, hey, I know I'm new here. This is my first week, but this card is not okay to print. We need to we need to fix something. And since I was a new guy, Spencer and team like they like, yeah, we thanks for your opinion, Mark, and stuff, but they didn't see the exact power level at the time that I saw it. And I was like, okay. For week 2, they said, hey, we'll have like an in-house tournament. Mark, if you think something's broken, just build a broken deck and show us that way. I was all right. So all I did, I built a Bashful Swordsman deck. The goal was to play that on turn 3, so as quickly as I could, and have a bunch of cantrips and not play any other penguins. Just play a bunch of 1-cost
So all your
cantrips.
cantrips are now removal spells.
Yep. Yeah, so it basically it prevented my opponent from ever playing a penguin.
Yeah.
And since you need penguins in order to play actions, there was no way to remove Bashful Swordsman. So it
Yeah.
was just a prism deck that my opponents literally couldn't do anything. Once they saw that, then it's like, and now we see it. You literally can't play the game, and then they figured out a way to rework it.
Yeah, no, I think that that's important, and I think that Magic made a lot of mistakes early on. I like things like land destruction. I think that you guys have been very careful with your air quote land destruction or resource destruction. So, if for those of you who don't know, in Magic, there's resources like rods, and there are cards that actively destroy them, and they went pretty hard early on destroying lands
Mhm.
or destroying rods. There's a bunch of cards that do it, and Magic players kind of voiced over time they would rather have their spells countered than not be able to play anything at all. It's very frustrating. It just creates for a poor player experience. And I think
Right.
that you guys have found the correct balance of that. So I do appreciate how you guys have done that. Um,
What's interesting too is players hate having their cards countered as well, but
yeah,
at least they feel like they're playing the game.
no,
Where
I
if
agree.
you just don't have the ability, if you're mana screwed, you don't have
Yeah.
the ability to play, you're kind of just wasting your time.
No, I agree. So whenever you're able to flag stuff like that in a prison deck, especially, and you're basically cutting them out of the game.
Mhm.
And so I think it's good to flag stuff like that for sure. Any other things from set one that you had to emergency either buff or change up at the last minute?
I don't remember like any other major changes. I remember that there was talks like of having more discard effects. And then I mentioned to the team say, hey, if we have a lot of discard effects set 1, like this is typically an unfun thing for new players. Like players want to play their cards, they don't want to just have their cards discarded. So I believe the original set 1 had maybe a few more discard effects. And then they changed those into draw effects
Okay.
or pseudo draw effects.
Okay. Yeah. And I completely agree with that as well. So it sounds like most of the Magic players that are on that team their experience aligns with mine just in terms of like you can build an obnoxious magic deck that takes forever to win and doesn't really do anything other than stop you from having fun, which is
Right.
not that's not a deck you want in the format. So I completely agree with that. So that sounds like you were there for basically the entirety of set two. Then is that right?
Correct. Yeah, I was around. I wasn't fully an Orange Cap team member yet, but I was contracted and I was there from the design phase for the beginning design phase of set 2.
Okay. And how did were you still primarily doing the main portion of your job, which I think you said was web develop or game online development. Is that right?
Yeah, I essentially manage the dev team.
That team, yeah.
I write up the priorities for them and make sure that they have all their tasks at hand.
Okay, and then so was that portion of your job still? taking up most of your day to day, or were you actually involved in any of the design?
I try to help like when I had free time with design. Our design team is great at what they do. I would say that most of my ideas, my strengths are not as in the design space. I tried coming up with cool, I wanted to make set two to have a lot more tribal effects. So I tried to create cards that had like those type of synergies. But when we were playtesting and things, they just weren't fun. They didn't hit home. Luckily, our design team caught that early, and they scrapped basically most of my ideas for set two. So I would say I didn't have much influence in what cards like the design process for set two. But I have a lot more influence on like the power lever structure and balancing and stuff.
Well, I think Lil's within it, like itself, is tribal, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get more things like I wanted Wizard Tribal to be a thing. I wanted Mega Tribal to be a thing, and I wanted a lot more actions to work with megas. I wanted a location that said that Mega Penguins no longer need to pay their additional costs. Things along those lines.
Okay.
As we tried to develop it, like it just it didn't flow well with the rest of the set. I was trying to make like a Mega versus Wizard set, and what we ended up doing with Lils is so much better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you guys absolutely crushed Legends of the Lils. And so during the design portion of that, was there any point in time where somebody, like the card that everyone's complained the most about in set two is obviously Coliseum. And so,
Yes.
like, even though, like, as a Coliseum player, I don't think it's even remotely close to the biggest problem
Mhm.
in any format that I've ever played. Like, it's nowhere close to bannable.
Right.
But
Well, I
uh,
think the most powerful card in the game is Popcorn Penguin. If
yeah,
there's any card
by
that's
far.
pushing the boundaries, it's Popcorn Penguin. Coliseum, I think there's actually many counters to it that people just aren't playing.
Yeah, and I don't think that people understand how easy it is to counter. I would like even just a normal deck that has like the three Fujis. I feel like I don't know, 20% to just get my Coliseum like destroyed in that one. And so, I do understand. It goes back to the concept of it just being frustrating to play against. So you remember all your losses and you never remember like the windmill slam of the Mount Fuji, on the table. So, I don't think that Coliseum is necessarily the problem. If you've read anything that I've ever written, I've always said that Popcorn Penguin, I don't know that it needs to be banned, but my problem with Popcorn Penguin is not that it's too powerful, but it's too oppressive. And it stops other decks from emerging, which I
Mhm.
think goes against some of the stuff that you guys have talked about in the way that you guys wanted to design the game, where everyone can kind of play their stuff out, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was funny when when set one first came out and the ladder. I don't think you were around the community yet,
I was
but
not.
yellow decks what's the major problem. And everyone was complaining about how powerful yellow was, which yellow is a very strong color for set one in that meta. But the community was still learning like what cards were good, what makes a card good in the game. And it took a while for them to even figure out how powerful Popcorn Penguin was and how it literally just nerfs yellow like by itself.
So that there were clearly no Magic players around because I read that card. I'm like, oh, the Abyss. You guys gave us the Abyss. Okay, cool. Like, let's play that one, or drop a honey. I guess the equivalent like every turn in an environment that has absolutely no card advantage whatsoever. This card
Right.
can 19 for one you. Yeah. So absolutely. I that card's nuts. I'm not saying it needs to be banned at all, but I do think that every deck builds with that card in mind. If you ignore Popcorn Penguin, you're not going to win a tournament.
Right. I definitely agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. So in terms of set two, so you tried to make tribals work, which I would have loved. And I will tell you, the first Lil that got spoiled in set three, I went out and bought all the belly acres I could find. Because I'm like, there's if they're going to keep printing Lils, this card only gets more ridiculous over time. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I love the tribal aspect of it. Was there like one card that you really wanted to work that didn't, or that you really like didn't want to work that did?
Well, I don't know about a card I definitely wanted to work or didn't want to work, but I definitely had to like re influence how Bellyaker worked because it could have been even more powerful. Obviously, remember I talked about trying to put up guardrails. One of the guardrails was for little Bellyaker was it before it could tutor any penguin. Um, but this is like super early on design
Yeah,
process. Like we
yeah.
just want
That's a four
something
of in every deck for
right.
ever I'm in. Yeah,
Right, it's run something fun and powerful, and the team, like even without my input, they would have figured out, hey,
yeah,
this is too powerful. So having the guardrails of it's can only switch up wills was I think a great take, and then from there that's when we build out to okay, let's only be able to search up wills, but let's make sure there's a good toolbox of wills for it to find.
yeah. No, I agree with that, and I think it opens the door for future Bellyacre effects that only hit up to five, that only hit non-lils, that only hit certain. Like I think that it certainly opens the door to be fair because for anyone who played Magic during Birthing Pod was like it was fair in the beginning, and then people kind of started to figure out they're like, I can just put this in anything, and I can go find infinite combos, and I can go do really
Mhm.
degenerate things with it. And I was still playing whenever that was going on, and I believe it got banned after I'd stopped playing Magic. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I think that again, lessons learned from where people messed up in Magic
Right,
is a
but
pretty big thing.
I know, like I know we take a lot of like influence from Magic, but our game is very different than Magic.
Agreed.
Because the way our rules work, like we have hard counters to Bellyacre because they could be removed while it's on the stack, and then it loses ability, and it's actually a card disadvantage for the player. So this is like so we have a lot of those guardrails already in place just based off our rules, which
Yeah.
is great. Where a Birthing Pod, you, like once it's on the stack, the ability, you're getting your card no matter what.
No, I completely agree. And I reference Magic a lot because that's the only TCG game that I played heavily. I play Hearthstone, I suppose too. So certainly not trying to say that Vibes is borrowing too much from Magic, but I think that you've learned from a lot of the mistakes that they made.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
We learn from mistakes, but we also learn from like things that they do right, like
yeah.
different mechanics that are fun in Magic. We try to implement to see how can we make a fun mechanic in Magic fun in Vibes, and not only from Magic but also other games as well. We try to take inspiration in.
No, I completely agree. I look forward to Morph being a thing in Vibes at some point.
uh,
That was one of my favorite effects.
yeah, one day it's tricky right now with Morph because of how rods and your characters are like both in play. So we can definitely morph. Like instead of having true morph, we have the saucy actions, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're not
You
characters.
have so for again the people who aren't Magic players, Morph you could pay three fish functionally, play it face down as a two vibe, and then they all have actions that you can flip up later. So it is very similar with the saucy effects, but like a penguin that you can play from your rods or something would just be absolutely sick. So
Right.
I think that that's super cool. Um, now, one of the things that I've constantly been curious about whenever it comes to the design team and the community team. And keep in mind, I'm self-admittedly the worst deck builder on the planet, and I will never discover a deck that you guys didn't just be like, here, like here's red discard. Like that one I can get. But if there's any other like smaller ones, I would never in my life figure them out. What are so set one? I'd imagine. Were there any decks that we figured out that you guys like? Bizbunk was a big one. Green, yellow, all those were like the hit you in the face. Like these are the decks. Was there anything that you guys had that we didn't figure out and set that was just solely set one deck?
No, I'd say for set one from again, I was there late in the process, but I would say that every deck that the team thought was going to be relatively good, the community was able to find eventually. It might have taken like some handholding to get them there, but no, I would say there was no big surprises and no big misses from the community there when it comes to deck building for
Oh,
set one.
what about set two?
For set two, I think there's definitely a few misses. And they might not be tournament viable decks, but they're definitely ladder viable decks, which I think are two very different things. Like when you're playing on the ladder, like if you know that you're going to be playing against like a specific type archetype like over and over again, you can just build a deck to counter like Coliseum, for example. Um, but in a tournament, you need to be able to beat Coliseum. You need to be able to build the yellow decks. You need to be able to beat Leaning Tower, Bizbonk. You need to be a lot more diverse decks at a tournament. So you need a lot more sideboard slots. But you can on the ladder, you can have a lot more dedicated hate for a specific deck. Like this, for example, we talked about at the beginning of the call that do you think that we did a good job of not having land destruction in vibes? It's true we don't have true land destruction, but we do have land like rod tempo. Like
Yeah.
three wise penguins is a card that is underplayed. And that card I think single-handedly crushes Coliseum decks. Once you get Coliseum and they can't just go 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, they are in trouble, and then you can just tempo them out of the game. I There was a player in Cincinnati that was playing the three wise penguin decks. It was one of my buddies. He asked me for a deck list. I was like, I really shouldn't be giving you this, but you can play this deck. It's fine. And every time he played a Coliseum deck, he crushed it, but it loses to the rock paper scissors deck, so he didn't do well in the finals, or make it to the finals. Yeah, but that's something that I'm surprised that the community members didn't take up. I think I remember seeing like deck lists floating around with Three Wise Penguin, but it didn't play Is This a Rod? So you have those 8 cards
Yes.
that can just bounce cards, bounce rods. Your big penguin is a little milkmaid because you can just increase the vibe pretty quickly, and it actually plays Orb of Hopium really well.
So there are a couple of those decks that float around the ladder. I don't know how much you pay attention to the ladder these days, but
Mhm.
Rid and Professor F both play a blue deck that always plays Three Wise Penguins, which
Okay.
Three Wise Penguins is really annoying for a Coliseum deck. However, Coliseum is producing so many other threats while that's happening. If you can keep them off Send It Too Hard, you're fine. If they get Send It
Right.
Too Hard and Three Wise Penguins, you're toast.
Mhm.
But in my version of Coliseum with the Belly Acres, I actively get a Waker and start trying to reduce my ice pile relatively quickly. So I do agree, especially like the Is This a Rod and the Three Wise Penguins. And so I don't know how many of those I've played against that play the full complement of all 8. And I do agree that that would be a very like devastating tempo blow. However, whenever I said that you guys did air quote land destruction correctly, I think that you get something back from that land destruction,
Mhm.
which is what I like. I like that balance. Like you tempoed the hell out of me, but I also got something back. And
Right. It's also a card disadvantage for the player playing the land destruction cards
yeah,
or the rod destruction cards because I had to use a card and I gave you 2 cards, like 2 rods back. You might have lost permanence, but you still have the cards you can play.
I don't have three wise penguin in front of me. Can I hit one of my rods and one of your rods?
I don't believe so. I believe it's
I'm gonna
choose
look.
an opponent, but yeah, we can look it up. Yeah,
I'm
this is
curious.
where I don't have every single card memorized.
Why not? What are you doing? Two rods you don't control. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Ah, that's funny. So yes, I completely agree that I think that card's nuts. And I whenever I found out that the blue fit deck was going to be a thing, I went out and actively started buying three wise penguins as well, and just in
Mhm.
case they're so cheap right now. So
Uh,
go
It's
ahead.
still gonna be fun. Like I'm really excited. I'm hoping they're not too powerful. I think we did a good job balancing fits, so there shouldn't be any outliers there. But the blue fit deck should be a lot of fun for players to play. Like I always thought auras were fun in Magic. I can't imagine why fits wouldn't be fun in vibes.
So I don't want to focus too much on set three because I know you're limited on what you can say and you want people to kind of figure the stuff out on their own.
Mhm.
Me and Laffy last night, we basically just gave up on blue midstream. We were like,
Mhm.
you get blown out so easily. What's up, Doji? Like you just in a game where card advantage is so limited, the ability to just get absolutely trounced by a lasagna or something
Yeah.
is too devastating for me to gamble on. So hopefully I'm wrong. But I tomorrow I have I'm working on an article to be released along with an Excel sheet where I
Mhm.
rated every card on a scale of 1 to 10
Right.
in the game, and the fits did not do well. So
Yeah.
I could be very wrong.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong about power level. I was saying it's about fun.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It,
fun. I
yeah.
completely agree.
There's multiple aspects when you design a set. You don't just design things just for power level.
Sure.
You don't just design things just for, hey, this is the most power. These are good things. You design things that might not be necessarily good for competitive play, but they're fun for casual players to play.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have a good mix when you create a set. You can't just have a set that's only powerful things. You need a set that's also good and fun, and has effects that other types of players will enjoy.
Oh no, I completely agree with that, they do look fun. I agree. I agree
Mhm.
with it from that side. So you said there were a couple of decks in set two that we didn't necessarily find. Uh, are you able to share any of those now, or at least like kind of the theme behind them?
Yeah, I can't share like the full lists.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
We don't want to
I
break the format.
no, but no, well, these decks I wouldn't consider them tier one decks. It's more like, tier 1.5, tier two decks. They're decks that I am surprised don't see play essentially. Obviously, they're not the best. They're still not the best decks in the format. There's still better things you can be doing, but not everyone plays the best deck. So you can
Yeah.
still play other decks that are perfectly fun, powerful. I know there's been a lot of like when the little swordsman cards were spoiled originally. That not everyone, people thought they were pretty bad, pretty low rate, and very expensive. We still maintain that those cards are very strong. They might not be broken, they might not be able to guarantee to win a tournament, but the little swordsman decks cards combined with the leaning tower, it provides a very, very strong control deck that can definitely have a lot of great counterplay.
That's fair. I've never really gave it that much consideration. So you, in theory, would play a deck that probably plays Charming Swordsman along with I. You call them the Lil Swordsman. I call them the Assassins. They remind me of like a
Yeah.
Royal Assassin. So he's
Mhm.
referring to the pay two pudge and flop and just ice a flop Lil, um, which absolutely they have the potential for card advantage, but then it goes back to the popcorn check. Do they
Right.
pass the popcorn check? And also in a
That,
format that's racing to nine, a four drop that requires two other things can be a little slow too. So, but yes,
mhm.
I agree. We do not
But
assassinate anything in front of us.
it definitely loses the popcorn penguin. That is for sure. It is a very big weakness for all the swordsmans. But if you can remove the popcorn penguin early, or get a Mount Fuji in play to name the popcorn penguin, and you have a variety of different swordsmans you can play, you do have a very viable. It's definitely a control deck. It doesn't win quickly, but you can slow down the Coliseum decks enough to give them a lot of trouble.
So whenever on the ladder, whenever it was all red purple mid range, so like the Serene
Mhm.
Penguins with popcorns, peace outs, etc., that deck did run rampant for a few weeks because
Mhm.
if you're playing against the red purple mid range deck, you absolutely destroy them because they're designed to beat the Coliseum, but they have zero late game. So you get three cards up on them with that, and they
Mhm.
can't win. Um, so yeah, I absolutely think that there's a place for them, and I think that that place probably will start to blossom here a little bit. I think that, and you can feel free to agree or disagree with me. I think Coliseum's dead. I think that with the addition of more relics and Hammer Rod, I think it was already on the cusp of like there was enough hate, and I think that there's just
Mhm.
too much generic hate at this point, which I'm not saying is necessarily a bad thing, but that will, if it's not a constant race to nine, like
Right.
for half your matches, then cards like that now actually get to see play.
Yeah, but when we say dead, I don't think it'll be dead as in it will no longer see play. I just don't think it'll be a tier one deck anymore. I'd be
Sure.
surprised if Coliseum stays the boogeyman of the format. I think it's safe to say Coliseum is one of the boogeyman right now, if not the boogeyman. But yeah, I would say Coliseum would probably be a tier two deck moving forward. It could still win a tournament. It could still catch people off guard, but there's gonna be so much hate for it. It's really gonna be like on the pendulum, like do people bring in the hate for the Coliseum because it's not the best deck anymore? You probably are bringing hate for the for the decks that are the best deck.
Yeah.
With only 52 cards you can choose from and no sideboard, you only get so many slots of what decks you want to try to target.
Yeah, I've actually always described Coliseum as a deck that can top eight a tournament but can't win a tournament. Because
Right.
especially once you hit the best of three rounds in the top eight and your opponents know they're playing against Coliseum, they know how to
Mhm.
mulligan. It doesn't matter who's on the play really. And so like my top eight match with Barbecue at Worlds, I ran him over in the Swiss because he thought I was playing red purple. And I
Mhm.
absolutely just I think he played like one card before the game was over and he destroyed me in top eight. It two owed me, and so once you know what you're playing against, I think Coliseum gets a whole lot worse. So
Right.
I like to describe it as a deck that is easy to top eight an event, very hard to win an event with. Um, so
I
yeah.
agree.
And then I think that were there some decks that we found that you didn't?
Yes. The biggest surprise to me was the rock, paper, scissors deck. I can't
That's
believe that is a real
that's you,
deck.
Erie. That's you. Get him, Erie.
Like again, I mentioned earlier that when we were designing sets, we want to design cards that aren't only powerful but also like we care about the fun aspect as well. And we missed that with rock, paper, scissors for set one. So for set two, we wanted to make it slightly better, but still fun. But we didn't think that it would actually be, a tier one, tier 1.5 deck. We thought it would sit in the tier two range, maybe tier 2.5. It could be a meme deck, but actually being very viable was very shocking to us.
So I have a good story about that from DC. I lost like my first round or two. Um, at some point, relatively early on, I had two losses, and so I'm not in the great bracket. Like I'm in like the kind of low. I had to do some winning to top eight this event, and I sit down against a guy who's like shuffling unsleeved cards. Like he's got he came for some other game other than vibes, and we're hanging out, and he's like, oh, what deck are you playing? And I'm like, oh, Coliseum. He's like, I got this rock paper scissors one, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're just chatting, and he plays one of the rocks or whatever, and then on turn four he plays a Bellyache. He's like, yeah, I opened to packs and got this one, and I was like, oh no. And he started to get things that were like perfect for whatever he needed. He just happened to have like a flying penguin that he turned into the little rock he didn't he needed. And I was like, oh, like I never thought about Bellyache in that regard either. Like, is the ability to start to
Mhm.
tutor up and actually make uh, any little deck that much more effective. So yeah, I did win that match, but it was looking rough for the home team for a minute, for sure.
Mhm.
But I think that speaks volumes for the power of Erie's deck, which, by the way, a challenge that I'm going to put out to the community, and something that I would love from the Orange Cap team, if you guys have anything. One of the biggest things that I try to do at these events is, if somebody's hooked on the game, if they know they want to play, I say go buy a booster box and we'll try to build you a deck from those cards. And rock
Mhm.
paper scissors was that deck, and so I am actively looking for a deck that can be built with primarily commons and uncommons and maybe a rare or two specifically from one set, or maybe a couple commons from like another set that could potentially top 16 an event, right? Like that's the goal. So is there a potential for something like that in set three that you're like just off the top of your head? You don't have to give me, but just a yes or no is fine.
Uh, I I'm I would say probably not. I don't think there's like a cheap deck. Like cheapest just from set three cards. You're gonna need cards from set one. You're gonna need cards from set two.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that could compete. I just can't think of something easily off the top of my head.
Yeah, that was a pretty off the wall question for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but so the rock paper scissors that kind of caught you by surprise. What do you think about this deuce deck that's unbeatable, that no one can beat right now? Was that one on your radar?
Oh yeah, it's definitely very strong. Definitely toolbox when you have little Bellyache and you have a toolbox, it's great. What I'm surprised how consistent it is because it has so many one ups and two ups. Like we know toolboxes are great and little Bellyache can switch up things, but I am slightly surprised at him being able to win four events in a row because there is still variance in the game. I know skill matters. Good players will always rise to the top and win. But to be able to win four events in a row on basically the same deck, I don't think I think he's made a couple changes here and there. That I think that's a testament to like the skill that he's had playing the game.
Yeah, yeah. It's certainly. I always say that top eighting an event is indicative of skill, but it takes a lot of luck to actually win an event. Like you need matches to go right
Absolutely.
in top eight. You need draws to go right. And I agree with you. Like the most consistent deck in the world, red purple trips over itself. Like the
Mhm.
epitome of just consistency. And so I was actually playtesting with somebody at DC complaining about how inconsistent his deck should be, while I mulligan, draw a Samantha Feathers, and then my first rod is a Samantha Feathers. from the top of my deck, and I was like, see, like why does this not happen to him, right? And so I do agree that it's been very impressive to remain that consistent or win at that rate. But then we had Kai come in. It's like if you don't know that, it's like a 12-year-old kid who took
Yep.
Sneaker Dad gave him Deuce's deck from like the previous week, and he played extremely well. I watched him for a couple of matches, and anytime I'm watching a match, I kind of like do what would I do in this scenario? And every single time, with the exception of he ignored all chances of removal ever exist. Like to him, removal did not exist in this game. So he
Mhm.
like Deuce is bluffing a peace out penguin, and he's like Bellyaker, and I was like, that was really dangerous, friend. Um, and so like that aspect of it, like he just kind of made him have it, which in a deck like Deuce's where he can potentially have everything, it's impossible to play around everything. So maybe that's the correct play is just to run everything out. I don't know.
Mhm.
But hopefully that it'll shake up the format a little bit. Now, any so somebody said earlier, uh, where's our four of a kind deck list?
Um, I don't know. Like Four of a Kind is one of those meme decks. I don't think that will ever be competitively viable.
You don't think
And
it'll
if
ever be competitively viable?
no, I would be shocked if Four of a Kind's ever competitively viable. Because like you have to choose four penguins, and then it has to resolve. Like someone could, like, it loses to a single removal spell.
I know. We've had little competitive challenges on the stream before to try
Mhm.
to see who can win with a four of a kind deck. And I actually like that one of the things that I love about vibes in general, and I don't know how much you're involved in that. I know that Sneaker Dad's pretty heavily involved in it. Is how you guys just knock the art out of the park every single time. And so like whenever you get the Warhol four of a kind, I'm like I just love this card. It's on one of my deck boxes. So
Yeah.
y-
Yeah, I mean,
they
that's just a shout out to our art team. Claire Altman, who's the director of our art team. Like I know she designed most of the card art for set one, but it's been doing less and less of for set two, set three, and really bringing in really great artists to help speed up the process on our side. She does such a great job managing the art team.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you also start to get you attract like the pudgy crowd and now the burp crowd and the mythic crowd, which was a completely foreign concept to me as a TCG player. But they're actually a great community, and I'm super happy to have them as part of it. So
Yeah, I'm
definitely,
with you. Before I joined Orange Cap, I knew nothing about cryptocurrencies. I knew nothing about pudgy penguins, so this
yeah.
is a whole new world for me.
Yeah. Whenever somebody was describing vibes to me, they're like, "It's the pudgy penguin IP," and I was like, "You think you're explaining something and you're not, right?" Uh,
These are just words.
yeah.
So you're saying the penguins. All
Yeah,
right.
I established they were penguins already. I got you. Yeah. So, any other sleepers? Any other cards that you expected to do poorly but ended up doing well? Cards that you expected to do well that didn't shine quite as bright as you thought they might in set two?
Yeah. Just some card. They're not necessarily set two cards, but they're just the cards in general. I'm surprised like the non-basic rods aren't played as heavily as I would expect. Like
Mm,
Bounce House Rod is a fantastic card that
yeah,
it could be a one of, it could be a two of. You probably don't want more than two, but it's just a really powerful effect. A freezing rod is I don't think I've ever seen in the deck, but that card is very strong. And it's really good. That and same thing with Rod of Cheesy Slices. It's really good in control decks. I'm surprised that those type of effects, those type of rods, people aren't pushing the boundaries yet. For those type of cards.
so couple. We'll start with kind of what. So bounce house rod, I love,
Mhm.
and I've had so like even I gave a kid aggro coliseum. And
Yeah.
he's like, why is this in this deck? And I was like, Bounce House Rod is one of your best cards. You're basically drawing two cards a turn now. And so I think that people are afraid of the tempo loss, and they don't see it as necessarily card selection. So you and I had this conversation in Cincinnati, and it's something that I've preached on the stream a lot. So it's not really like me like giving insider information from the Orange Cap team, but it is in a game that has virtually no card advantage, card selection becomes your new card advantage. And so I think that Yeah, Erie makes a good point, which we'll address in a second. But I think that cards like Sneaky Penguin don't see enough play. Things like
Hmm.
Bounce House Rod don't see as much play as they probably can and probably will in future sets. Uh, Erie did just make a good point. He said you can't play rods in a Colo meta, which even the Coliseum deck does play rods. It plays the rod that we're talking about. But yeah, you definitely get got by rods in your deck for sure.
Hmm.
And then as far as freezing rod goes, whenever I first started, so I read the card, and anyone who plays Magic, you read it and you see City of Traders, right?
Right.
And for those of you who don't know, it does functionally the same thing. It produces two, but the next time you play a land, you have to ice it. And this is actually, I feel like a more improved version of City of Traders because you get to ice any rod that you have, which I think is awesome, especially whenever now that I'm thinking about it, you get this purple deck that wants stuff in its ice and this that's going to be able to recycle things. This card actually probably gains some stuff. Let me go buy Star City out really quick while no, I'm not gonna do that. So, but yeah, I completely agree that I don't think that one saw enough play. And then what was the other one? So it's Freezing Rod, Bounce House Rod, and what was the other one?
Oh, and then the Rod of Cheesy Slices, like
Oh
there,
yeah, yeah.
that's just another great control finisher card.
I never thought of it as a control finisher.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep, it's really good in the location deck. I know location deck. I don't know how popular the location deck actually is, but I know people have discovered it. Rod of Cheesy Slice is a great way to win in the location deck. You just
So
keep
you're talking about
controlling
the
the
mono
board.
purple one.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, that's definitely some alpha on the stream because no one is playing that right now that I'm aware of. The
Okay.
purple deck that you're talking about is heavily played, but it already destroys control.
Mhm.
So maybe that's why they didn't throw it in there, just because it doesn't like they don't need an like if red purple versus purple play 1,000 games, red purple wins like 50.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great matchup for that at all. And there's people who disagree with me, but it also goes back to what you were talking about before in terms of ladder decks versus tournament decks. And so
Right.
I was avidly looking for a way to play purple in DC, and I've made the comment several times that you have to be a very brave soul to take purple to an in-person event because the cheapest, most available deck is your hardest matchup. And
Mhm.
so, if any sort of yellow go wide deck can absolutely destroy you. And so yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree. Erie did point out that there are four Rod of Cheesy Slices in the blue mill deck, which yes, that one, it ramps up real quick. As soon as it plays one Rod of Cheesy Slices, your clock has started. It has begun,
Yeah.
and heaven
I
forbid
wasn't
you got
sure
a
like how
second.
popular the I didn't realize that the Blue Mill deck was playing that, so that's great to know.
No, it is. Yeah, it is absolutely. So I would say of the rods that you named, like a one of Bounce House rod and then Rod of Cheesy Slices are pretty heavily played. The freezing rod, not so much. And then the rod that Pudgy Man rod, I think the one that unflops whenever something goes to the ice. That one
Mhm.
saw some play in a couple variants of Bizbung. So I
Yep.
thought that was pretty neat.
I think a lot of these rods will see a lot more play too with set three coming out because there's a lot more interaction that turns on these rods.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think that that's another thing that people don't really give enough credit for, especially I've noticed people kind of complain about like cassette one boxes are ridiculously expensive. They're like
Yeah.
$300 right now.
Mhm.
And so whenever you open up a bunch of the like air quote bulk rares, you're like, oh, this is terrible. And I'm like, just give it a minute. Like let it breathe
Yeah.
for like 10 minutes. And I promise you, give it a year and like half these cards will have doubled in value. And so I approach all TCGs from two angles. I obviously want to play the game, but I also think that cards need to retain their value because if I'm dumping a bunch of money on product, I need to be able to recycle that money at some point.
Right.
Now, I know most TCGs, their official stance is we don't acknowledge a secondary market. Does Orange Cap have a stance like that you're able to share? Or,
Oh, we definitely acknowledge secondary market, and we definitely care about our collectors and that secondary market. So whenever we're making decisions around future sets releases, it's definitely on our minds. It's not something we ignore.
Oh, that's
So it's
awesome.
what we are definitely very conscious of that. I like Spencer at the end of the day, our CEO has the final decision on how what levers he wants to pull. So if you want more details, I'm sure he'd be willing to share his thoughts. I can't speak for him, but it's know that he is. It's definitely front of mind with us for secondary market. We're not afraid to acknowledge it.
No, I love that. And I was lucky enough in DC. I sat there and played against Spencer for like 3 hours or something. We
Oh
had
yeah, I forgot Spencer made DC this weekend. He
he
had some
did, he
time.
did. So I got to sit and talk with him. We didn't go in, like deep dive into any plans for secondary market, but I like that it's at least on your radar because like I have had closed door conversations with with Wizard employees, and they're like, we will never in our lives openly acknowledge that a secondary market exists for our game ever again because the last time they did, they made the reserve list. And like we see what that turned into.
Right.
For the Vibes players who don't know what that means, the one of the first sets that Magic reprinted like to be like cheap cards because cards were getting kind of expensive. It was called Chronicles, and the all the collectors blew up, and they're like, "I spent hundreds of dollars, and you reprinted my City of Brass, you jerk." And by the way, Chronicles was like a terrible set too. Like they had like City of Brass and like one other card in it. Coordinate Crossroads, I think, was the other one, the Legends card. And so Wizards came out and they were like, you know what? Every single time a set comes out, we will promise to never in our lives reprint these cards. And then they retro did it for all the Power Nine and dual lands and everything. And that's
Mhm.
why some random terrible common from Legends is ridiculously expensive at this point because people just hoard them because they know they'll never get reprinted. Anytime Wizards talks about reprinting it, nine people threaten to sue, and it's just a
Yeah.
gigantic mess. Whenever you set right in stone that we will never ever in our lives do this, and again, we're talking about lessons learned from other games. I'm glad to hear that that lesson has been acknowledged. And so I absolutely
Absolutely.
love that. I did have a list of cards. I started to talk about it on stream yesterday, and it's going to be in the article I put out this week. But basically, like the movers and shakers from the next couple of sets, and I'll pull the list up for you, and you can tell me. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert! You just saw the whole list. Um, it is. So I think Bellyaker only gets better over time. Fuji only. My note is literally see Bellyaker. I think both of those they just continue to. They're going to be so right now. Like if you're opening a box of set one, you want as many bashfuls and popcorns as you can open.
Mhm.
And in set two, I think it's going to be as many Bellyacres and Fujis as you can open. I think that those are the ones that are just going to they're evergreens. That until you ban one of them or make something slightly better, they're going to continue to do it. One card that I think that is not played a lot right now that I think is going to start seeing a bunch of play is Binkus. You
Yep.
have
I think Binkus definitely gets better with set three.
Yeah, you have so many things that interact with the ice pile that the ability to just cut people off from a Binkus goes pretty high. Sheesh, I think, is one of the I think that's one of the most obvious ones.
Mhm.
I saw the card Y, so if you guys haven't seen that one, I forgot what it does, but it's the red. It's a red free action that whenever you discard it, I think something happens.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so my note on that card was everyone will just play sheesh. Like the do nothing card is going to be sheesh in those decks. I think yellow Mega Penguin. I am so excited to see Erie's iteration of a yellow Mega Penguin Striker Burb deck.
I think all the Mega Penguins are going to be pretty playable when set three meta comes out.
Really?
Yeah. I
What's up,
think.
Spiff?
Oh yeah. Not just yellow Mega Penguin, but I think all the Mega Penguins are like obviously in the early meta for set one and two. Green Mega Penguins really. Green Mega Penguin and Purple Mega Penguin have been the dominant Penguins megas that are played. But I think
Yeah.
with set three, I think you'll see more blue Mega Penguin, you'll see more yellow Mega Penguin, and you'll definitely see more red Mega Penguin for sure.
Yeah. I think that all those definitely get some stock. I also have Yum Yum on my list just because I think that the yellow decks in general get that much better. Like you were talking about Bounce House Rod and not seeing more play, and Farmer Burb, which is the two fish, two vibe. when it comes into play, you can get back a yellow penguin from your rods. You can reveal a rod if it's a yellow penguin. You can put it in your hand. I think those types of value cards. Uh, right now, my biggest issue with yellow is there's a bunch of filler cards in it, and you
Mhm.
guys solve that with this set. I get rid of all my filler cards, and I think that there's now like 60 cards that I want in the deck, and I have to
Right.
figure out what I want to cut. And this one's not on my list, but I did buy a bunch of them. Sir Wattlesworth. I think Sir Wattlesworth with any of the flicker effects, I think just goes. I think that deck is going to be super fun. So again, I don't know if these are tier one cards, but they're definitely going to be fun.
Uh, Absolutely. Like I said, like we definitely want to amp up like making sure there are lots of variations of fun that people can have. But we also like we definitely again stretch the boundaries on the power level of these cards. So it's going to be really interesting what the community is able to come up with. And we have a lot of hypotheses and theories within Orange Cap Games, and we'll see what comes true. But let's we'll let you guys know. If something does become too powerful, we won't be afraid to ban something. We'll definitely ban something to bring decks back to the power level of other decks. We won't let things run rampant. But just because the community complains about something doesn't mean that we'll do something about it. It has to be backed up by data. And we have all the data on win rates of decks on the digital client. So that's how we'll be able to tell.
That's awesome. I completely agree with that philosophy. Like I'm a very big data driven person.
Yeah.
Like numbers don't lie. It's kind of like my work motto. And so I completely agree with wanting to back data up. And I do think that there's also like a feel support of it too. Like we talked about it with Coliseum, where people feel like it's unfair, and so it
Hmm.
is obviously like a bigger deal. But whenever you don't have the data to support it. Now, obviously, and this is just because I don't want this conversation to be taken out of context later. So I'll go ahead and give you the opportunity to clarify. Whenever you say we are not going to be afraid to ban stuff later, your goal is not to make it the what's the rift bound stuff where they like print a broken deck, ban it after everyone
Oh
buys
yeah.
it. Yeah, like that. That's not what's happening here, right?
Right. No, no, absolutely. We're talking about we know that there are certain interactions in the game that are stretching the boundaries of what we allowed for set one and two. And we might not ban the outlier card. We might ban the enabler card. We might ban like we definitely don't want to like. It's not that we're going to be agnostic to rarity of cards, but we understand that if there's a chase rare, if it's too powerful, we'll ban it. But we'll do what we can to ban around it. Definitely. But we don't want it. We don't want it to not ban things at the cost of the game.
No, I agree. And again, I would keep flashing back to this, just lessons learned in Magic.
Mhm.
This was before your time, but it was the Arcbound Ravager deck. So I don't know if you're
Okay.
familiar
Yes.
with that.
Yep.
That was the most degenerate format in Magic that I've ever played, where it was either you played Ravager or you lost.
I mean,
Uh,
that Affinity almost killed Magic, right? That means people to stop playing.
yeah, it was. I remember vividly playing against a guy who every single card in his deck was either a land or something that destroyed an artifact, and I 10 0'd him with Ravager. It was embarrassing, and yeah, we just sat. I'm like, you have to play this deck, and so people feeling cornered to play a deck that they don't want to play will just stop playing. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, and so I think that it's good for you guys to have already have won that or learned that lesson as well. And we just got a professional agreement. Can I use this? Oh, can I use this to win a vibe check? What's moving the Baron for? All right, I need Erie. You clearly you said you were going to do some illicit things, and that sentence is proving that you did them. What do you mean? Professional agreement to the card. Can I use this and I win vibe check? What's moving the Baron for? So I think what you're yeah, it is a new set three card. I know that. But you're saying if you win the vibe check and play professional agreement, like what's like then don't play both. I don't understand the question. Don't play it if you're going to win the vibe check. Save it. This kind of leads me into I know I only have you till 7 o'clock, and I wanted to spend at least a couple of minutes talking two things. I don't want to miss up the opportunity to hype. Asia champs and Euro champs. I think that the Asia champs people have it the roughest. Going into an event like this, that's for a considerable amount of money with 2 weeks to set up or anything. Shout out to those guys because they are all putting in serious work right now. So shout out to those guys. And then, excuse me, the last thing, and to kind of help them along, are there any interactions that you think are notable that we'd want to bring up? And we'll also give all the viewers an opportunity to ask about interactions that they're curious about. So, Erie, I'll answer that one. If you're going to win the vibe check, you don't need to play professional agreement. You can just keep it.
Yep, that's fair. I don't know like how well read into the rules that the players are, or with all of our communications and things, but um, and I know within the card types of games, like within our game, we have specific card types. Before set three, we had actions, rods, penguins, locations, well relics, and location was a subtype. We no longer have a penguin type in our card game. We have now changed that to character type. We still have penguins in our game. They are now the subtype penguin. So they are characters with the subtype penguin. And then any previous card from set 1 and 2 that reference like ice a penguin or choose a penguin, that now has been errated to say ice a character or choose a character. So I know that's gonna be very confusing at first when players see this, but yeah, like it was a big overhaul change that we needed to make on the game. And because of that, we had to errata a lot of cards. And when I say errata, guys, that doesn't mean changing what the actual text of a card says.
It in essence, like the online versions will start to read character, right?
Correct.
So it will
Yes.
change the online versions, but and
Mhm.
if they ever reprinted these cards in the future, it would say that. But that's very
Correct.
for anyone who doesn't know that, that's very common in card games in general. Um, they will figure out that something just isn't worded properly or intuitive to the way that they want it to interact. Um, so yeah, there are no other fundamental changes to the game that I'm aware of. Is that accurate?
Um, nope. I everything else should be the same.
Yeah, I was curious reading some of these cards because I was going through the spoiler yesterday before the Laffy video, and there was it's the 3 yellow pudge, draw a card for every creature that was iced or every penguin that was iced this turn, and I was like,
Oh, that
yeah,
yes.
if you guys introduced floating mana into or floating pudge into this game, which you technically can float pudge,
Mhm.
but not proactively float pudge,
Correct.
and there's yeah,
I mean, that's one. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's one of the cards that scare me. When it comes to card
really.
advantage, yes. We're hoping that we balance it correctly. That there isn't an easy way for players. Like it's kind of like a mini game for players to be able to get extract full value out of that card. Um, so we think it's probably going to be too difficult for a player to get draw like 8 cards for not too much pudge. But I would not be surprised if we miss something and that card ends up being an issue.
Oh, I only got a 5 on my list because I think that triple yellow is going to be kind of hard to come by, along with a way to interact favorably with it.
Mhm.
The card that we're discussing is Chill Out.
Yes, I personally I think that's probably a good parameter of its power. It's labeling it a 5, but again, just because we both believe it's 5, it's still a card that scares me because of like the
Oh,
potential it has.
sure. And I think that
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I'm going to release my one my so it's 1 to 10, but I put 11s on there. And 11 is a format defining card. A Bellyacre
Right.
is an 11.
Mhm.
So something that it's not just a 4 of in every deck. People are building decks around this to splash cards, etc. And 5 is actually my lowest playable. Like anything below a 5 is like it might see a 1 or 2 of it in a deck. And
Mhm.
so I think Chill Out is playable. I think it'll be like a 2 of in some of these decks, or 2 to 3 of. But it's obviously very heavy yellow. I do feel
Mhm.
like there's a purple yellow deck floating around somewhere that's going to really like that card, and I do think that there are um, dangerous interactions left and right with all these things. And so whenever I release this, and again, I'm glad you said it there. Whenever you're reading a spoiler or whenever you've even had time to play test, one mind cannot find breaking every single card.
Right.
And That I remember I used to do this in Magic because whenever I worked for Star City, one of my responsibilities was pricing the cards, and I would have to write financial articles and explain my logic on why I think the card cost this much. And people would just rip me a new one. They're like, "You didn't think about this one Legends common and the interaction. It's gonna break Legacy." And I'm like, "You're right, I didn't. You got me, man." And so if that happens tomorrow, I apologize in advance to everyone watching. But I try to rate things kind of in a vacuum and how I think they're going to impact the largest format. So Magic Standard, there's really only one format, constructed, and yeah, you can't hit them for every single one. And I will definitely be off on some, just like the team will definitely be off on some. I'm sure that there are cards that were considerably. Is there a card from set one or two that you can think of that was just considerably more powerful than you initially gave it credit for?
Um, Considerably more powerful. I would say probably Leaning Tower. We always thought the Leaning Tower was going to be like playable, but I didn't realize like how impactful it would be in the meta.
Oh yeah. I think Spencer told me a story about Milkmaid that I don't remember. I think Spencer thought Milkmaid was unplayable, and everyone else
Yes.
thought it was too good.
I wouldn't say everyone else. I can call out our lead designer, Elliot. Elliot, for the longest time kept saying this card is broken, and Spencer's like, no, it's not. And then Spencer like between me and the side, Mark, is this card a problem? I'm like, nah, it'll be fine. And it was definitely more powerful than what Spencer and I thought it would be. And shout out to Elliot for being correct in that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's so hard to come back from, especially in like the Coliseum archetype. Whenever you're definitely trying to win it, and that card actually saw play in the deck that you're talking about, the Three Wise Penguin tempo, like the Rod tempo deck. It played the Milkmaids just to basically stop you from doing anything.
Yes.
So and it's like an aggro mill is I think what I called it. There was a question which I don't know if you know the answer to it or not. When will Set 3 be playable online?
I can give you guys a target date. We're gonna try to line up the release of Set 3 with the release in the release of the digital client with the release of the physical cards. So we're gonna try to get everything ready by June 19th.
That's awesome.
As of right now, everything's on track. Obviously, when it comes to like we're a very small dev team. Like I've always talked about it when we're building out, we're just a handful of developers trying to get everything out. We're the last month it's just been a mad sprint of trying to get all the new changes in. It's not only are we trying to get set three, but we're revamping the digital economy. So there's gonna be a whole new UI, a whole new digital economy along with all the set three changes. This will be the largest release we've had since the launch of the digital client.
Is it so? First of all, that's exciting, and I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So that was some serious alpha for the people watching right now, and yeah, I'm going to clip that later too. Let me got to make note of this time.
Yeah.
So that is amazing. I'm so excited to hear that, and
Yeah, if people have been wondering why there haven't been releases, for the last couple months, is because like with our small dev team, we've been heads down, just trying to get this next release, because we know it's going to be so large, as good as we can.
is this large release of the online client, is it going to still be titled the alpha, or are we now into beta, or is this the launch of what we're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, I always found that like I differ than maybe like what the company opinion is like on titles like this, but like this should have never been called an alpha in my opinion. To me, an alpha in the tech world means it's
It's
internal
closed,
testing,
yeah.
and yeah, it's closed testing, and then a beta is like, to me, this should have always been called a beta, but I understand why we called it an alpha. It's because it was the first edition. But I would say that we are one step closer to being like a full release game.
Okay. And which I think is awesome. And I do always try to remind people that anytime they're like, my Coliseum bug got me, like, and you got to play for free. Like, so, so, it happens for sure. Yeah. Hey, Professor, how are you? So I think that that's amazing to hear. I can't wait for the newest iteration. Is there any other highlights that you can share about the new client?
Oh yeah. One thing that players will should understand is we're introducing daily missions. So new daily missions to help you get more gold, which will be great. That gives players reasons to come back and want to play more games. We're going to be introducing a crafting system similar to Hearthstone. So people have been asking what can I do with all of the cards I have more than 4 copies of. Well, you can disenchant those cards. I believe our new currency will be called Pebbles. These penguins collect pebbles, and then you can use your pebbles to craft any of the cards you want in the game.
I don't know if y'all heard that or not. That's the most exciting thing that I've heard in Vibes ever. And I've been waiting for it. And, like, you knew it was on the horizon and it had to happen at some point. And another
Mhm.
thing that I always try to point out to players as well, if you have worked in any sort of professional environment, these changes don't happen in a week or a month. These are like, oh, the next 2 years, I want to have this done, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that that's an awesome target for the team in general. And I am so excited to hear that that's on the horizon. I can't wait to see it. Um, I will say this will be my message to Spencer specifically. When set 3 sales look like they're a little light, it's because we all have 900 rares to disenchant online, so we don't need to buy set 3 as much online. So
Right, no, we definitely understand that, and that's not an issue. Like also, like our community is still relatively small. So we know like a lot of our community members, like we're not trying to make the digital game like cost thousands of dollars for you to build a deck. We understand like with the current economy that we had launched, you could spend $500 and still not have a complete tier one deck. And to
yeah,
us,
I
that was
know.
just unacceptable.
I personally know. Thank you.
um, and it's definitely something we want to correct it. And so we definitely understand that we understand the pain that the users, our community, has been feeling, and that's why we had the full set frenzy on for so long until
Yeah.
we revamped the digital economy.
Yeah, and
So
I that's been the coolest thing to say to any player that you're trying to get into the game. You have zero risk right now. Go play for free. And then, as supportive as like Jeremy and the rest of the Orange Cap team has been with just like streamers, like if you're in the creators cohort, people will just ask all the time, "Hey, can I do a 40 pack giveaway?" And Jeremy's like, "Yes, please, go nuts, go do it." And so I think that that's amazing that you guys are giving that much support to the new players and to the people who are promoting the game. I think the world of that because one of my big issues with Wizards and you guys can quote me on this one. They are super money hungry. It's one of the greediest companies that I've ever seen operate in my life. And I feel like there's a board of suits that are all sitting around in a circle. They're like, how can we get as many dollars out of these people's wallets as possible? And I don't feel that way with Vibes. And I think that's key to healthy growth in a card game.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's like if you don't if you price out players to play your game, you can't grow, and that's something we definitely don't want to do.
No, no, I completely agree. And
Yeah.
yes, Professor F is also grateful for so much full set frenzy. So I know that I'm wrapping up with you. Anything else you want to leave with me or with the community?
Yeah, so like in a couple of weeks when we do have a release, just know that there's still a lot more features and enhancements that we want to get done that aren't going to get ready, that won't be ready for this release. For example, we want to have an avatar system where players can have cosmetics, dress up the avatar with cute little hats, and clothing and stuff. And then eventually we want to have your avatar be your representation in the vibe check. That's something that we were hoping to get for this release. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that we had to get done, so we had to cut something. So that's something that got delayed. But eventually, I would say a pretty short turnaround this year that we'll be able to get your avatar system up and running, and your avatar will be taking your representation in the vibe check.
That's awesome. I so many cool and exciting things happening from the Vibes team, and I know you guys have been putting so much work into this. And I, as a player and as a collector, am eternally grateful to all of the Orange Cap and the whole Vibes team for all the work that they do. You guys have your hands in so many pots right now between Vibes, between the Burb games, between the Burb cards, between everything that you guys have to work on. And so with it being as small of a community as it is, and it doesn't feel as small because we're so tight knit. But if you compare it to
Mhm.
like a Magic community or basically any other TCG, we are. in our infancy at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And this is definitely one of the best TCG communities I've been a part of. So I love being a representation of OCG. I love being part of the Vibes community, I'm happy to do whatever I can to help continue to make this game grow.
Well, I certainly appreciate you showing up today, talking through some of this stuff. This has been one of my personal favorite streams that I've ever done. Hopefully, everyone else enjoyed it as well. But I always like to see the history and the lore behind kind of how the cards developed and what we got to, where it started and where we are today. So thank you so much for your time, Mark.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm happy to, if I have time in the future, to come back on for sure.
Yes, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Oh my gosh, that was great. I need to switch screens here so you guys aren't staring at all my dilly and where am I? There we are. And then I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I have a whining dog that I need to go open a door for, but I can at least talk to you guys. Go, child. I've got this French bulldog that if it's nice outside and you close the door, he whines until you let him out. But he wants to leave the door open be- because he has social anxiety, or not social anxiety, he has anxiety, and if he's locked out, he he will freak out. I I can show you a picture of the puppy. I'll tweet it later. Erie is a degen. Yes, I agree. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. So that was. I'm actually surprised. That was one of the lower view counts that I've had so far, and that was fascinating to me. And I am so grateful that Mark came out and was able to hang out and kind of walk us through some of that stuff. Shout out to Erie for finding a real deck that they missed. I think that goes. It shows how valuable the time and effort you guys put into the game truly is. So, um, yeah, yeah, the insight was awesome, and that's one of the cool parts about actually getting to go to some of these events and talking to the players. I think it was Spencer that told me this, or somebody told me this about Spencer. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but basically, like Lil Solo Adventure was like his, like they were working real hard to try to make this become a really popular deck, and I think that they did a really good job at how it interacts. Like I actually love the Lil Solo Adventure deck. I will say that it does take a while to win. So I think that the idea behind throwing those rod of cheesy slices in there was actually pretty cool. So yeah, yeah, this was a fascinating stream for sure. Now, in terms of what we're going to do with the last 30 minutes, what do you guys want to do? Do we have, I don't have any more boxes to open right now, so I don't know what I can do, but I can go through the set three evaluation with you guys if you guys want to see that. We can kind of do that one for a second. Work through some of my cards. Let me switch this camera screen around. We'll do that. I think that's a good way to spend 30 minutes. I promised I would be here till 7:30. Oh, do you want to play? What do you want to play against? Do you guys want to hear set three evaluations, or do you guys want to see me play against Erie? I'll let you all pick. You're opening a Legends box right now? Oh man, love it. Love to hear it. I hope you get a sketch. I'm logging on to Vibes right now. That was fascinating. Um, one of the so one of the things that I think is really interesting about games in general is that people only play them as like their spare time thing, right? It's not your job usually. And they forget that games are someone else's job. And I think that whenever you have all the challenges that are associated with creating a card game, so you have logistical challenges to coordinate and get people involved in in gameplay in general. You have a hard time finding creative designers. And then once you've even designed a set, you have a hard time physically getting the set printed and shipped and distributed. And so to have such a small team, Orange Cap has really done miracles. So I absolutely completely agree. Okay. Well, I don't want to compete with that actually. Jeremy's about to go on Schiller. So I might be migrating everyone over there here in a second. Yeah, you do need to watch the video later. It was super cool. I was very pleased with how that went down. There we go. I messed my camera up on this one. Alrighty. There we go. That should do it. Hey, there we go. I'll play a couple games just for fun. Why not? Let's see if we can win with this deuce deck. I don't think we can, but we'll find out. Or he can watch it later and tell me how bad I played it. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I haven't played against this Sam MCQ 25. Let's see how it goes. So we want a Bellyacre for sure. This combination of cards seems pretty good, but I don't know that I want to keep two 6-drops. I don't know that I want to keep any 6-drops really. I'll go find them later with this Bellyacre. Let's try again. All right, Sam MCQ, what you got? Hopefully the bots haven't started picking back up yet. All right, now we're good. His Coliseum deck probably running his little penguin out. If he's a Coliseum deck, probably don't want this. And there's not a deck that I really want that in against that. I mean, that's pretty sick if you can get the inspiring story online with it. I'm really excited. So it's going to be kind of like a struggle to create content for the next week. I just bear with me for the next 2 streams. I'll find something fun to do. But people are basically waiting for set 3 right now. Like even I haven't been playing the ladder that much just because I just want to hit set 3 at this point. Sammy's taking his time. There you go. Singer. Oh, he could be playing red purple, which I still don't care if I routed that. Um, let's try to tie a vibe check, I suppose. So it's between these two, and I've got a 3-drop in hand already, so I'll go here. Would love to see some test deck building for set 3. I mean, we could do that. That's a great idea to spend a couple of days like building a couple of decks. Although I'm a terrible deck builder, I need to find somebody who's a good deck builder to come on the stream and do it with me. Erie, I think you're up on that one, big guy. You're the deck builder, not me. Mudman would be a great one too. Who are the other like premier deck builders? Who do we want to see? Because people are usually available. We're all a bunch of degens that just do nothing but play this game. Easy game. You want to, Erie, you want to do some deck building next week on stream? It would be, let me look at my calendar. Yeah, the 10th and the 11th, I guess, because it comes out the following Friday. Okay, do you want the 10th or the 11th? I don't have anything there yet. Eesh. So again, like this, like if I run this, this is why I hate this deck. So I feel like I need to run a piece out, and if I run it out, I am just going to get absolutely destroyed if he does decide to like lasagna here, peace out here, play any sort of red spell, bump here. But at the same time, he would be super crazy to run that out. All right, Thursday at 5:30, I got you. So that's Thursday the 11th at 5:30. Let me write that down. All right, so he didn't do it. He's not going to try to blow me out yet. Clearly, he's not sniping me. Otherwise, he would have known. Thursday 6/11 at 5:30. Perfect. Well, that was easy. Now I just got to fill Wednesday. But yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do that. We'll try to like spitball some decks. and go through and kind of theory craft. So we won't really get to play the games, but we will get to at least have some ideas on stream. So he's gonna start winning the vibe check now, which I don't really care about. Feel free to win the vibe check. So this again, this is super dangerous. All right, let's do it. No perps, no purple. I think he's playing the just try to run it out game, and so Daydreamer's functionally useless at this point. Whenever he has that in play, he's got one card back and a piece out. Thank God I drew a Milkmaid. Y'all, like, tell me if I'm playing this wrong. How does this deck won 4 tournaments in a row? Another inspiring story. All right, all right. So I can't do anything for 5. Milkmaid's basically just a blank at this point. So I suppose I can go. Singer does, or Daydreamer doesn't do anything. So go here. So I think I wait till Bellyacre next turn and Zoomer his piece out so I can't get completely wrecked. I'm not gonna do anything there. I'm just gonna say go. I could technically put a counter on something, but whatever it is gonna get belly ached. There's a decent chance he has a not a rod anymore. Uh-oh. Looks like I have a new thing that I've got to deal with. Does that change anything? Yeah, no, he still hits my Bellyacre if I don't Zoomer that now. Hmm. I still haven't drawn a purple, which isn't great. All right, I have to Zoomer this popcorn. I have to Zoomer popcorn and then hope that he's a scaredy cat or doesn't have a way to activate this. And then go get a purple here, and then that way I have the ability to. I think there's a purple 3-drop in this deck. If there's not, I'm just going to concede and never play it again. Oh, hey, we got there. Oh, Tina's pretty good. Protects my. It's not a purple, but it protects my Bellyacre next turn, which I think is equally as important. The fact that there's not a purple 3-drop is nuts. And he's at 12. All right, I have to say go. I can't. It'd be very, very greedy to try to buff a piece out there. I got a Waker in my hand too that I get to play next turn. And then if I can somehow eventually find a purple source, I can lasagna. Oh, get a little poppy popcorn of my own. Although I don't think that works how I want it to work. So 2, 4, 5. And then I can play that and get another. I can go get a Waker if I play that too. So we definitely want to play here, I think. Although I need to. He can't win this vibe check. I gotta do something about him winning the vibe check. All right. So he's gonna hit my Tina. All right. I think I go So I produced red there. This goes and gets a Waker, which I think is pretty good. I probably want a Waker at this point. Although I'm just asking to get wrecked by any sort of interaction with peace out here. If I can get a purple, I go get a purple. If not, I go get a Samantha Feathers and hope he can't ice it. I think that's the play. And then his popcorn will still hit a 3 next turn. So Singer is what's probably got to go. I can definitely go get a 5 as well because I have this too. So turn my 4 into a 5, and there's should be a Lil who's down bad at 5. Ugh. So my purple is a Lookout. All right, I think I do want a Lookout though, because now I can. I can't do that anymore. Um, I don't want to call it CM. Maybe I do. I don't know. I'll just pick it. I'll put it on there. All right. So I got a lasagna something, and then I get to piece out 2 things. So I'm gonna lasagna here, and then depending on what he does, I'll get to do 2 things with it. So boop, boop, boop. I just need to be able to knock him down enough permanents. Although I do have to be careful because if he has a, oh, he's just gonna let it go off. All right. Okay. Um, so I'm safe to be a little greedy here because uh, I have a what a twist. So if he does somehow have some weird combination of cards, although he can just lasagna this and I'm dead. No, he's not. No, I'm not. I still have a what a twist. So I can go get turn something into a Samantha Feathers. But if he had a lasagna, that this Bellyaker wouldn't be here. There's no way he has a lasagna. All right. So yeah, that's his game plan is going to be to not a rod anymore. Oh, okay, maybe not. Oh, he's just flopping to tie the vibe check. I'm fine with that. Yeah, yeah. I think we sit. All right, so this deck is looking favorable to win right now, and it only did that because my opponent had literally nothing. Could have had one of like 97 different cards. All right. So can I go lethal right now? Yep, sure can, and I sure will. He's got no cards in hand. Yeah, he's dead. Joke's on him. I wasn't going to Coliseum anyways. So I want to leave my Waker back. This guy's probably not doing a whole lot right now, so we're going to go get a Samantha and see if we can close the game. There's nothing he can have with no cards in hand to deal with this, I don't think. Samantha. Samantha Feathers. All right, I somehow managed to win. Look at me go. This deck is so dumb. All right, whatever. Like I want to be bitter about it, but I did win, so whatever. I'm gonna keep playing, but I do have to pee. So, mm, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. And oh, I'll put on some music too. We need music. Musica. What do I listen to? Um, we'll listen to something kind of upbeat. Here we go. There we go. This song always puts me in a good mood. All right, we got another game coming up.
Homegrown alligator, see you later. Gotta hit the road, gotta hit the road. The sun ain't changing the atmosphere. Architects
Let's see what we
comfort
got.
me.
We got like time for another game or
Navigators
two.
to this.
So, Low Moonlight is obviously like the best card in this deck because it's your only purple source. Um, Playing against Dioflay, yikes. And I do have a 1-3, so I go here, here, and keep this, I think. All right. All right, run it out. What you got, Dioflay? All right. So I think that this is another thing that I wasn't really giving this deck credit for, which I still don't like. Obviously, it's a good deck. It's won four events, but this deck does rely on drawing a bunch of vibe checks. So you're basically a Bellyacre Coliseum deck that plays a mid-range deck until late game, which I don't necessarily know is the best route. That one I just played whatever my duplicate was. So I don't know what Diofla is playing. I'm assuming he's playing some sort of Coliseum deck. That's what I normally see him play on the ladder. And so I've got the options for a popcorn plan at some point and a Bellyacre plan at some point. So we get two different paths. Oh, he's playing. Okay, he's purple, so this popcorn's just gonna wreck him. That's fair. So we tie this vibe check again. He will have something for this popcorn, I'm sure, but even his best removal spell against popcorn is still not that great against popcorn. So I kind of want to save this for a purple source at some point, but I got my purple and I have my Colosseum, so I guess I don't get to. In my mind, I got to go to 4 there, just 'cause I'm so used to winning vibe checks, but he can do some pretty impressive things at 3. Like that deck really wants to get to 3. He's very methodical. Oh, he didn't have a 3? Yikes, it's not where he wants to be. He can just burn a removal spell here, which I guess he didn't. Alright, we'll see if this... Oh, what's up, Mountain Rider? Thanks, man. Good game, man. Uh, so, I was going to not play an action there, but I don't really... Yeah, you're the only other person I played. I was complaining the whole time because I hate this deck, but yeah, you didn't have an action, and I was like, that's okay. So I literally, you can go back and watch it later. I was like, oh, okay. So the way that this deck wins is by my opponent literally having nothing. Got it. There were so many times where you just get to blow me out if you have an action there. So, but yes, I agree. Good game though. All right. So yeah, he obviously hits there. Um, and what do I hit? Against that deck, I will go. I'll go Charming Swordsman, I guess. Yeah, if you guys want to go watch Jeremy, feel free, or have us both up, whichever. But Schiller's stream is great. I will definitely watch the VOD later. I at least get a Bellyacre online next turn. Got him. All right, he's got him. But I also feel like that was devastating enough because he had to use like 3 cards just to get rid of that one. So he had to use a got him, and then now he's also got a Fuji. But he does that is a recycler deck, so it's not like a full loss, but like a 1.5 for sure. Knock me off my purple source. He knows how to play against this deck. Take out purple, take out the sweep the legs. Oh man, I could untap that right now. I'm gonna win though. We're just gonna go Coliseum. The Coliseum route. and then probably get trashed by him hitting a location. So we got 3/6. So we go to 7 this turn. Oof. Do we go to 7 this turn? Yeah, let's go to 7 this turn. Just try to go Bellyacre. He could proactively ice my Bellyacre, and I get to go get a Samantha Feathers, and then I'm pretty weak to removal at that point. Lil Who Scoops. Oh, sorry. He got it back. He got the card advantage back. Nice little tie. Sorry. Huh. 3, 6, 7. All right, so I at least get to try to win a vibe check out of this. So I still can't activate Bellyacre just because at the end of the day, if I try to, that deck plays so much removal. It's got 97 different ways in hand to kill this. He's got 4 cards in hand and 5 ways to kill this, like 100%. And so it is a complete blowout if you do that. I've got a needy husband right now. Sorry. He knows my streaming schedule and he messages me and he's like, "Hey, are you streaming right now? You don't need to reply if you are." It's like, "No, I know exactly what that means. I do need to reply right now." So 3, 6, 7. All right, you want a vibe check, or you're gonna flop this down and keep tying? I don't know. All right, sweet. All right, so I do want a vibe check and I do get to play. I have to hope he doesn't hit this thing with a Coliseum. This is honestly, in theory, this purple deck, 3, 6, 7. This purple deck is my. If I were playing Deuce's deck, the mono purple deck is my biggest fear because they just have. You don't play that many action. Okay, cool. First card, great. Like this is what I imagine should happen to to this deck. Like this everything that's happening right now. The problem is you can't play purple in person. Like Caution is easily one of the stronger players in the game, and Yellow just eats your lunch. I watched him play against like some of his Yellow matches, and like the people are literally reading the cards, and they're like, "I don't know what this one does," and they're like, "It just doesn't look. It's just such a bad matchup for Purple that the person reading like, Shy Penguin, okay, yeah, Shy Penguin, uh, that person is beating Purple, which is not really where you want to be in life." Charming, a swordsman. Actually, I probably should name Will Quaker, but I'm like mentally just done with this game. I've been through all my Coliseums at this point. I guess that was probably a little greedy. Could have kept a Coliseum or two. The problem is like even though you feel like this attrition game where you feel like you're almost out of cards or like he's almost out of cards and it's really just going to be like heavy swings back and forth. This deck just has so many ways to get cards. Like he has 2 cards in hand, another card right here, whenever he chooses. Although I'm guessing one of the cards is to have a philosophical debate or a oh no, he is finally activating it. All right, he's gonna let me win again. Then he's gonna start stopping me. That is the frustrating part about the purple deck too. You just feel so close to winning, but you're never quite there. They just let you. Yeah, so now he just kills one thing a turn. Ice is one thing a turn. We don't kill in this game. Oh yeah, I'm so toast. 14. He's got a mukbang. I can't play this. Yeah, I'm dead. Ugh. Yeah. I don't even enjoy playing that deck. I'm not playing the deck anymore. What do I want to play? I want to play with set 3. We're gonna waddle, 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 waddle. Waddle, waddle, waddle. Nelson Grace. I'm gonna guess that's a bot. Do we think Nelson Grace is a bot, everybody? Let's find out. This hand's like pretty decent. I'll keep it. I'd much rather waddle than play that deck. All right. We'll go 1-3. All right, Nelson Grace, you gonna concede? You gonna say go, or you gonna play something? Yeah, it was a bot. All right, we're into the bot. We're into the bot season now. Start to pick up our free wins. Good old Nelson. Yeah, I know Nelson too. Actually, you're right. I forgot about that. All right, we probably don't need a Yum Yum versus Nelson. I really feel like these bots are non-English speaking people, and they're just like create the most basic sounding names ever. Which little do they know. I don't know if you guys played WoW back in the day. So WoW had a whole bunch of Asian farmers, and they were really annoying in vanilla WoW because like all the good farming spots were just all Asian farmers, and you could always tell that they were Asian farmers for two reasons. A, whenever you got a mob that they wanted, they would yell at you in Asian characters, like they would message you in Asian characters. So Asian bot or Asian farmer number one. And the other reason you always knew is because they had the funniest names that they definitely used like a Google Translate for that I'm sure sound badass in Chinese, but they were always like sunshine death, and you're like, all right, that doesn't like that probably sounds super cool if you like you Google Translate it, but that it's not something that's said in English. It doesn't work the same way. But they would always have those types of names. It was neat to see, fun to watch. All right, we're gonna waddle. Oh man, oh that would have been so sick. If I would have yellow mega penguin last turn, I would yellow mega penguin into a yellow mega penguin into a Waddlesworth. I'm terrible at this game. That would have been nuts. All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it now. All right. See you later. See you later, flying penguin. Pot stirring. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. Love it. All right, we're probably never making it to to that. He's gonna make me beat him. He's not just gonna concede on 3. He thinks we're gonna eventually. He doesn't know that I'm trying to waddles. Oh, now he's gonna concede. Darn it, Nelson! I was trying to waddles. I'll play one more, and then I gotta go. I got shrimp to cook. I am very. Ooh, Blenders came out with some new sunglasses. I'm not gonna pay $70 for these, but I like them. Just think of these guys right there. Ah, broiled shrimp, grilled shrimp. You can do it a bunch of different ways. Ain't you ever listened to Bubba? I'm gonna grill them. Grilled. They're marinating right now. It's just very simple. Olive oil with a little bit of salt and pepper, some paprika, a little bit of onion powder, garlic powder. They're good. If you actually care to do it, you can make the like virtually like the Outback shrimp on the Barbie, like that. It's butter, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, and white pepper, and that makes like grilled shrimp on the Barbie. It's pretty good. I do love grilling. It's like such it. A, it's like the healthiest way to eat food. Outback shrimp is nuts, and it's because they put a lot of butter on it. like a half a container of butter. Like however much butter you think that you need for those shrimp, put more. It's the same way you make like the pasta, the Queensland chicken and shrimp pasta. It's white pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper. I should be like y'all. I'm not trying to toot my own horn on this one. I cook pretty well. I should weigh like 600 pounds. The fact that I'm only slightly husky is an achievement all in of itself. What doesn't get better with more butter? Uh, Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke. I don't think you want butter in that. Y'all, this is funny. So Greg was pretty heavy when we met, and both of us, actually, if you look back, like both of us were like pretty fat. Like we were both like the fattest we've ever been when we met. And Greg is also diabetic, but he's gotten better as a diabetic in general, slowly over time. He used to be the worst diabetic in the world to the point, whenever people like they open up like a container of like pudding, like one of those snack packs, and they like lick the pudding off the top of the thing. I have watched that man do that with butter. He opened up a new container of butter, peeled off like the protective stuff, and licks the butter off of it. And I'm like, that is next level fat. That is the fattest thing any individual can do, regardless of how much you weigh. Just, like right, lick the butter right off of it. Like, buddy, you can't do that. Yeah, no. Yeah, the pudding is legit. Like that one's good. There's a lot of things that it's very good with. Butter, yeah, I'm not eating like a spoonful of butter. That's just not where I'm at in life. Although whenever I make like homemade mac and cheese, or I can make like any sort of like Alfredo sauce, stuff like that. And anytime I make that, I do legit use like a half a tub of butter. I take the biggest spoon. I don't measure anything, but take like the biggest spoonful I possibly can and throw it in there to make the sauce. It's actually really fun. If you guys cook, if you know how to make gravy, so making gravy, like if you take sausage and just brown it, and then put like a flour and milk or heavy cream into it, that's how you make gravy. That's the exact same way that you make any sort of cheese sauce that's typically tossed in pasta. So like a mac and cheese sauce, you make like butter and flour, and then you add a bunch of cheese, some chicken stock or water, and depending on how creamy you want it to be, like some milk or cream, and then you put it on top of noodles. And you do the same thing for an Alfredo sauce, except it's Parmesan cheese. Uh, oh yeah, yeah. My Alfredo's pretty good. It's actually not hard to make at all. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Any like sort of pasta sauce. So like my Alfredo sauce is like I usually will cut up an onion, and that's what I use to make the roux. So like instead of having the base, if I'm making like chicken Alfredo and I'm gonna pan fry the chicken, I'll use that as like the roux. But I do that and I put onion, butter, garlic into a pan, brown the onion stuff, the onion and the garlic, and then I put like a pretty sizable amount of flour into it because you can always add more stuff, but it's hard to thicken up a sauce later. So I'd add like a half a cup of flour probably ish. I don't add any salt whenever I'm making any sort of like like an Alfredo or mac and cheese, because there's so much cheese or so much salt in the cheese. You always add later. It's very easy to oversalt those dishes. Yeah, so you basically like melt butter in a pan and then stir flour into it until it becomes like a pretty thick substance, and then add like you know a cup of water at a time so you get the consistency that you want. All right, Clark Silver, 100% a bot. Calling it now. The bots have had time to rank up. All right, probably don't need to pop and against a bot. Clark Silver. Yeah, Clark Silver and I, yeah, we've been friends for years. All right, well, you guys don't get to watch any more interactive games. I'm sorry. Although now's a good time if you want to rank up through Chunk. Now's your time. Now's your time to shine. This was a good stream though. Like I was looking forward to the even just like it's interesting as a content creator, there's definitely times where I'm just putting out a piece of content because I promised a piece of content. And even though I enjoy, doing this, I think that it's important to recognize and understand that everyone has responsibilities or obligations that no one wants to go to work 100% of the time, no matter how much you love your job. Like there's definitely times you want to be doing something else. And fortunately for me with content creation, that is very rare. I would say like 1 out of 10 times that I need to produce some form of content or that I promise some sort of content that I didn't want to do it. It's 9 times out of 10 I'm super excited to do it. And with this one, with this stream with Mark was easily the most exciting thing that I've ever done. Even though it's by far like a relatively small, not even relatively, it's probably the smallest turnout that I've had on stream. I'm at 19 viewers right now, which I mean, normally we're in like 50 to 80s at this point. I also think Thursdays are kind of rough as well. Um, we make a run of one of those sketch barons one of these seasons. I might already have one. Who knows? We'll see. Uh, no, I don't have one yet. I was just saying that. I do not have one. I was not Mimi's. Uh, so it is a nice piece of collectible. I don't know. Have you seen my Baron token or what I use as my Baron token? I think I have it right here. Which I actually need to get this out anyways because I opened up a Arctic foil. Mimi's, I'm sure will be back whenever uh, whenever their main or alt makes it in. That's not what I want. I need to. I'm gonna break down all these decks, and I've got to sort everything. Here it is. So the Baron token that I use, I love way more than any token that I would get. I've got two of them. So in 2015, Buddy, this is one of my dogs. If you can see, I'll change it to a bigger screen because we're gonna call it after this anyways. If it's just bots playing, then I gotta start cooking here in a second. So we'll go here. All right. So we got this is Buddy, and that is actually what my dog looks like. I'll post him on picture on X at some point. But he did this off a picture, and it's incredible. So I use that as one side of the Baron token, and then the other one is Dudley. And so this is my French Bulldog. I had same artist, so they were both RK Post. I had him do this one the weekend I started playing Vibes, actually. So it was in November of 24 at SCG Con Vegas. So these are my Baron. That's why I would, if I didn't have these, I would be itching a lot more for the foil Barons because they are sweet. Like I'm not taking away from how cool they are whatsoever. They are very awesome cards to have. I just have something that's more appealing to me. When Dogo characters in Vibe, I know, yeah, I would love to see it. I hope that if I could like wave a magic wand and see what Vibes looks like in the next like 10, 15, 20 years, I think that there will be a whole lot of other IPs that they have partnered with. Um, I think that there are a handful of things like you just get more characters, you get more tribes, you get penguin tribe, you get bird tribe, you can have like an ape tribe or whatever. There's a million different way like creative things that you can do with it, but you're also not pigeonholed into one set of like pudgies basically. So if IP that you don't own and IP that you don't control, something happens with that you just aren't necessarily thrilled about, you have ways to pivot away from it. And the biggest thing the biggest comparison that I can think about is I don't know if you guys played Overwatch. So Overwatch is Blizzard's first person shooter. And in Overwatch, there was a character who was like a Midwestern cowboy or a Western cowboy style character. His name was McCree, Jesse McCree. I started playing. I started playing it like way back when, and then I log onto the game after not playing it for like a year, and McCree has been renamed to Cassidy. And I was like, why did they I Googled, I'm like, why did they rename McCree to Cassidy? And it's because McCree was developed off of one of the people who made the game. And that person did some very unsavory things in a professional environment that involved, if I remember correctly, I don't want to like throw shade at this guy's name, but if I remember correctly, the article said something about like a rampant sexual harassment in the workplace or something. And so that's why people should, in general, be very hesitant to use external IPs or external forces that are not just created characters. So, like, if I create, some random character, that there's no chance that that random fictional character is ever going to go out and murder 10 people, right? But if I create it after a person, there's a chance that some weird stuff can go down later. So I think that that's another like lesson learned. We talked a lot about that in the stream today, lessons learned from other games. I think that's a pretty important one too. Like no matter how much you start to trust people or people who are wholesome in a community at one given time, there's always the opportunity for them to turn out to be not really who you thought they were later. Um, so we can be smart about it. Yeah, and Orange Cap doesn't own or control Pudgy, and so at the end of the day. I'm sure there would be something legal stopping. I'm sure they signed something at some point. But if Pudgy wanted to go create their own TCG, they're more than welcome to do that based off my understandings of how this IP stuff operates. I'm not a patent lawyer by any stretch of the imagination. I know virtually nothing about patent law, but I'd imagine that they'd probably be well within their right to do that. And so you're really just hoping that they don't compete with you. So yeah. Are you foreshadowing a Chonker villain arc? No, I feel like my villain arc already happened. Like I didn't like who I was in like my early 20s. Um, Not that I like went out and murdered 10 people or anything like that, but I was a much more sour person. Like it just wasn't. That's why I focus so much on the mental health stuff now, and it's because I really want. I learned that there's a much better life to live if you actually do work on yourself. Like it's really hard to work on yourself. And one of the biggest challenges about adjusting your own mental health is actually having difficult conversations with yourself of, hey, you're doing this and you need to stop. Because people can tell you all day until the cows come home that, like, hey, this is a you problem. And if you're not willing to accept that it's a you problem and change those behaviors, then you're just going to keep getting the exact same results that you've had in life. So I completely agree that I had a lot of work to do whenever I was younger, and I'm glad that I put in that work because life is amazing now. And no villain arc for me, fortunately. Hope not, anyways. There might be a villain arc if Deuce keeps winning with this deck. Like that would cause a villain arc. Like he wins Asia champs with the exact same hodgepodge of Bellyacher cards that he has. Yeah, all right, that'll start the villain arc for sure. I'll have to pay some guy in Europe to snuff him out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna get that was a joke. That was a bad joke. I was kidding. That's not gonna happen. We're not gonna go to European champs, and I'm gonna try to find a hitman. That's not a thing. Uh, what's next for me? And yeah, clipped, spread. What's next for me in terms of competitive vibes? So I'm very, very excited about set three. I don't have the only trip that I have planned right now is European Championships, and I have European Championships planned, and I have U.S. Championships planned. So I booked the travel mostly for both of those. I booked enough travel that I'm committed to going. I think I still need a hotel. Uh, did I control this ad? What? Did you get a? No, I didn't. That's great. I love that. I love that. Professor got an ad that was love your mind and make a game plan for your mental health, which I absolutely love that that was an ad that came up on my I don't I try to like minimize the amount of ads. But yeah, I absolutely love that that is coming up on my stream. So I would happily let something like that play on my stream, but I don't think that content creators get enough control over their ads or anything like that. If I could guarantee that whatever you were going to see was going to be like wholesome like that, then I would be more open to having ads. But I also just want this to be for fun. Like I'm still not trying to monetize this. I think in May I streamed for like 150 hours or something, and I made $40. So you did miss a ton. You'll have to check out the interview with Mark. It was really, really impressive. Uh, yeah, we missed Eaton, that's for sure. But yeah, it was a very good conversation. Mark is clearly brilliant. It was so much fun to have him on the stream. I always love having like any of the Orange Cat people that have ever come on the stream. It's always been a good stream. So I absolutely love that and value it. So, but yeah. Any last minute questions before I go start cooking? Before I start making some sustenance so I can stay married? I was so busy with work and trying to figure out how Deuce's decks work. Analyzing it was crazy. Yeah, we were talking about that on the stream just even a minute ago, where I was uh, like I played the deck a couple of times, and if he so I played against somebody, and I was like, "There's no way I win this. There's no way I win this game." I said it like the entire match. There's no way I win this game. He had a peace out penguin and then enough pudge to cast a lasagna, and I eventually got down to the point that I had to play a. I had to use Bellyache or I was just going to flat out lose, and he didn't have anything. So I win the vibe check. We go another turn. He still doesn't have anything. And then he gets on the stream and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't have anything." I'm like, "Okay, well that's how this deck wins." He had 97 chances to draw an action and didn't. So yeah, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at in life. Playing singleton. But I'm excited to see what the Asian players come up with. I will offer this: if an Asian player has a deck list that they would like to test against me. So Eaton, uh, Trex, all the people who support my stream. If you need help with Asia Champs, totally off stream on my own time, if you create deck list, I will jam them against you, and we'll do as much testing as we can. So I want to help you guys, and I appreciate all that you guys have done for me. Oh, I also we're carrying I was carrying these guys around too on in DC, just so everyone for barbecue. Barbecue is there in spirit. That offer extends to barbecue as well. So yeah, any of you guys, if you create deck lists and you want to play test stuff against me, I will happily do that and keep all the information between whatever circle of people you okay to have it between. So I want you guys to perform well, and I know that you guys are under some serious time constraints. So. Eden's good though. Eden gets to just play Bisbunk. He doesn't care. He doesn't need to play anything new. Right, Eden? You're still reviewing past meta decks. So I need to finish this article. I have not written it yet, but I'm gonna rate every card, and I'll have it released tomorrow. Is my game plan. But I'm gonna rate every set three card. This Champion of the Clouds that I opened yesterday is not Arctic in like the top corner. I don't know if you'll actually be able to see it. It's Arctic in like over here, but over here it's not. It's weird. And then these are fire if you guys haven't seen these. Oh my gosh, I love that art. That's so cool. Uh, do I know which big box retailer will carry set three? I have not heard an announcement for that yet. I heard the announcement that a big box retailer will carry. They didn't say set three. They said we'll carry vibes. So I haven't heard anything yet. That would be sweet if it was Target. I do love me some Target, and I don't want to have to go fight people in Walmart. Although Roanoke has two Walmarts. One is like the really sketchy Walmart, and the other one's like the really hillbilly Walmart. And neither one of them are places. I do actually shop at the hillbilly Walmart, um, but they're not places you really want. I go at like 7 o'clock in the morning on Sundays whenever there's three people there. I don't mess around with Walmart at not 7 o'clock. Whenever I was in college, I went to college in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is there are areas of Charlotte that are like where the football players live that are insanely not like their grocery stores have valet parking. So you got that area of Charlotte. Every house is $1 million plus, and this was in 2005. So you knew there were some balling houses. So then there's that area of Charlotte, and then there's the other area of Charlotte near campus where like people get mugged all the time. And uh, the Walmart that was right next to the university, it was 24 hours my freshman year, and my sophomore year, it was no longer 24 hours because in the 1 year, they had something like 370 police calls to that Walmart. And most of them happened after. I was like, you're averaging more than one police call a day to a Walmart? Like, y'all need to do something. That's ridiculous. Like, y'all need to go somewhere with that. Trex, I don't know if you heard the offer that I just made to all the Asia Champ players that support the stream, and it's you specifically as well. If you create decks and pencil in time with me, I will play via camera and we will jam games as much as possible. I will do everything I can to help make you guys successful for Asia Champs. So make decks, let's play, and I'm more than happy to if you guys give me a deck to play, I'll play test anything you want. If I'll play test set two decks against your deck to see what we can beat. Like do whatever you guys want to do, just let me know and tell me what I need to build and we'll make it happen. So, but all right, that is all I have tonight. If you are one of the Asia Champs players that wants to take me up on that, please message me. You all know how to get in touch with me. Otherwise, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I love you guys so much.